So this is a preface to the video now. So the thing is, I don't want anybody to feel manipulated or like I'm using, but I'm stating like my own selfish goal in this. Because when I discovered Asperger's, I went to friends, real life friends who were psychologists and child psychologists, similar kind of thing, and like Pierre only, they use my in real life name. You don't have that. You're just if you really believe it, it's psychosomatic. And they entertain it for a while and then disabuse me of it. But the thing is, it doesn't really matter to me if I am diagnosed with that. I'll feel unique compared to the other one, but it might tell me something, right? But the point wasn't really to get diagnosed, because what good is that? I'm still not going to go in the programs. My situation was, it's like it's not going to tell me that much. And what I'm really doing is I'm trying to probe for what the real similarities, and with experts and against making people get serious. Because it's easy to go, yeah, we all have those symptoms, yeah, it's similar. But it's like, no, if you say, no, could it be diagnosed? Or what if I don't have this part that needs help, but I have this part that suffers, or whatever? Forced to imagine. And then, and to get to this point of no, because of this and that, like you brought up the disembodied thing. The most disembodied thing, I don't know exactly what you mean by that, was remembering when I was 8 or so, that it was like, very much like the schizophrenic, like voices of adults, talking about what I was going through, and some of it not flattering. And because I remember thinking, well, they can think whatever they want. And I remember thinking, it's just like any adult, including the ones, whatever. And I remember thinking, wow, really? So is there a metaphysical world? I guess that stuff is just about to do, like heaven and ghosts and things? Or what is it? I don't know, weird. And sort of setting it aside. And I would say it never stopped happening that I would have that kind of thing. But that's the most disembodied, where that's the last moment I remember it seeming like separate personalities. And after that, I started to develop more of a psychological view of, this is my mind communicating with me. My mind is vast. I'm just a little thing even in my own mind, kind of deal. But anyway, so the point is not a self-diagnosis moment there. I've already mentioned that experience. But is that the kind of thing that you're talking about? Or for example, a radio example. I mean, what's really going on is I'm driving around and the radio's distracting me, and I wish I could find out where I am, and it's not really like the radio, like I read a functional schizophrenic talking about how somebody, they kind of had a crush or an obsession on, professor was giving the messages through the radio. I didn't have this kind of level of that at all. Okay. Probably the closest thing would be this experience when I was a kid, which also raises this, kids have imaginary friends and all kinds of things. We don't classify that because we're looking for people that are going to have a problem. But I'm predicting that in the future, we can understand these symptoms and cycles and patterns, even for people that are going to handle them. They're not going to develop into a problem for that person. And there would be some criteria that weren't just based on, this person's going to need help, we got to get in there. Like, let's say we didn't spend any money on war, and we were in there with everybody that was going to need help. And we're just trying to, healthy people are understanding themselves because we could produce more or not, you know what I mean? It's functional, let's fulfill your potential, and we'll get to a level, not just this particular thing, but in all psychology and stuff, where we start to develop finally some sort of owner's manual of how to use this thing your own way. So this is just a brain dump, and all of it kind of is, and explaining to you what I'm looking for in this. And I want it to be taken seriously, but not so much that you're wondering, is this guy serious, and it's getting annoying. It is both. It is both a thought experiment, but it's also concrete. I really am talking about my experiences and realizing that perhaps one of my traditional egoisms of I'm introspective and can follow my own train of thought and see what it was. I have mirrors to watch myself as I think other things. There's a story that tells it differently, that I had no other choice but to see those things. Right? Really, I have nothing vested in this. My pride is such that however it turns out, it'd be like, oh, but I did have this or that, I'm not worried about my pride, really, except for it might be too much. So it's not about that. On the other hand, I would claim it's an evidence of some humility. I mean, I really don't care how I'm categorizing. It's funny the part where you're saying categorization so that people could just dismiss it. I'm talking about categorizing it to myself. I'm not doing it to play victim. I'm not doing it to play hero. I'm doing it because I want to figure out how apt it is to the situation. And I really do feel we have a lot of undiagnosed psychological issues out there, and even people that are healthy. We have these personality disorder type syndromes and stuff. I mean symptoms, and also not diagnosable, shouldn't be diagnosed, not a problem for people, but it could be informative to understand that we're all dealing with stuff like that. And so I'm trying to explore that. All right, and I feel I can do it because I feel that on a behavioral level, I'm sane. Right? I have pulled off sanity as an end result of my behavior. However crazy my ideas might be inside, the boundary condition is, that sanity is in what you do if you act sane to people and don't, do destroy lives and this and that and the other. So, okay. I guess that's enough. Cheers. Hi, Laura Layla. So, Kathy, I want to just disclose some things. I think I've sensed possibly bugging you or confusing you in a way that might be annoying. So let me just admit, okay, I said right away that, I might be trying to claim that. I mean, I don't want there to be a misunderstanding, like it'd be a great thing to be schizophrenic. It wouldn't be. But I either already am or not. It would be a great thing to figure out how my mind works. On the other hand, I'm pushing that because I want to make this issue personal. This is how it came to me. Talking to my family, my daughters have been talking about this, looking at these symptoms and seeing how minds work in these ways, and it's, in the diagnosable stuff I'm fine. It's like, I understand why needing help is an important part of the practical sense. That's why I said, though, eventually you can't take this claim that there's something different about a medical condition and a mental health condition unless you want to be explicit about that. And we want to say, well, everybody's this way and you're just doing this, that, or the other. But then again, just because you have a healthy body, you could still have a exercising, you could still have a medical component, medical reason, right? So mental health, even when you're healthy, and some people do have a physical imbalance. Some people, the wiring, just the neural wiring, a learned thing that causes it. So, but anyway, I admitted right away that there was that potential. I admit that because, I want to be called on it. So I don't mind you calling me on it, but just realize that I understand that. The other part is that I'm pushing this as a personal thing. And there is a grain of truth, too. It's like, well, I think this is possible. I mean, to me, it's fascinating, because sometimes people say, and I don't want to admit I'm wrong, I'm actually searching for that. I have been certain for 20 years that my introspection, while I'm viewing something that is very particular to me, that I have a brain biology like other people, and I'm seeing things that they're also going through, and since there's levels of consciousness, they might just not. So to realize that, hey, that whole story, can make sense in itself, but look, there's a replacement story. You're not introspective because you're brave enough, Piero, to look at the way you are and face that, oh, you failed, and face that, oh, this, and face this, and face that, whatever you see. I'm a brave traveler of my own mind, right? Because I'm brave, because I decided to go in there where people, fear to tread. But this alternate story is that no, and so this is the part, no, I don't really want to find this out. No, it wasn't that. I had no choice. I was thrust onto the pathway. You see the difference? So really, that's why I also in one of the videos, not in my reply to you, but that we're starting around the same time, you happen to be bringing up the same thing. You and Kires brought up things, and I was already going through this thought process, right? Oh, now I lost my train of thought. But anyway, so yeah, so I brought up, that's right, I brought up that it was a win-win for me because, either I get to say, wow, I handled this thing. Because you see, either way also, I kind of think it's my embracing of introspection still will count, right? Like, maybe I was brave and decided to go explore. Just found myself in this jungle of thoughts. But I was still brave, and I, took it as an exploration. So, good on me, kind of thing. So, I've got that, but also just that to me, I've realized there's a concreteness to experiences that I've had in my life. And it's not just an impression or expression, because it's unreal and it's thought and it was imaginary and it doesn't count. No, it counts as an imaginary thing, and I've been saying this for years, but I felt that about my own experiences with, a bunch of stones are going to have an opinion and talk back to something I thought, or, So, and, this isn't a public therapy, so it's not like I've told or would tell every single experience, so we're keeping this somewhat hypothetical, right? It's an as if, like, you don't know about my case, but imagine someone functional enough to survive having the actual, is that possible? Can you imagine somebody with schizophrenia that is being helped, somehow having the tools, having been raised more nurturing, or this or that, or whatever it would take, to be dealing and alleviating their own symptoms? And would those symptoms still be real? I think it's an interesting question. Okay, and I'm using myself to provoke that, and to a certain degree I'm just like a stand-in because we don't know all the details. On the other hand, I'm willing to stand behind it. I'm willing to, when you say, oh, well, obviously you're not neurotypical, I'm willing to argue with that, just to argue with that and the opposite. I don't mean to be annoying. It's just the state of mind I'm in about this, that, well, neurotypical, I don't know, everybody has this stuff. What's neurotypical mean? And, so forth. And if you, it's really no matter what we say, I'm like, well, I'm ready to challenge it. I'm more normal than you think, and I'm more crazy than you think. That's kind of my attitude at the moment. All right, and if you just bear with me, it'd be great, because this isn't me talking about like epistemology or something where, hey, look, I've laid out, I just didn't take the time to draw the graph for you today, but, this is how I explore a domain. I keep certain things, possibilities open, and multiple interpretations of the path are always available, till it all gets sorted. You are probably not in that sphere, but I'm sharing something that occurred to me and that I have taken personally. All right, cheers.